Welcome to Scoop World Order Tuesday. We have, I know there's some games going on. We got the Bucks playing Georgia at the Shot right now. We're going to go a little bit later. We have an 8th grade phenom coming into town this weekend with South Florida Express, our good friends who have brought us JJ Smith, Brandon Ennis, Carnell Tate. This is going to be an absolute awesome weekend for the Bucks. Jamie French is coming with his parents. Going to be a great day. We have a nice little practice blurb, which is on BuckeyeScoop.com hours ago. So if you guys are not members of BuckeyeScoop.com, consider joining, because if you don't know what's really going on in the Woody Hayes, that's the place to be. As always, we appreciate you guys for patronizing us, taking care of us. This will be a huge show because you guys make it one. We're going during basketball because we know some of you guys love football and you want to know what's really going on. They had a big practice today. JJ Smith is nasty. Better get ready. Best receiver on the entire team already. Julian saying, dice people up. What's going on with the offensive line? Who is excelling on defense? We've got all of that. We're going to break all that down. And we're going to get into this 8th grade phenom. This kid is a superstar in Florida, which is much different than Ohio in terms of eligibility for high school. This kid played varsity as an 8th grader. So again, wrap your heads around that. That's really tough. You can't do that in Ohio, obviously. So, hey, this kid's got a big, bright future. He'll be up here this weekend meeting with Ryan Day and Chip Kelly. So we're really excited, and he loves Ohio State. He loves what they're doing with South Florida Express. So as always, if you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. We're going to have a very nice show because of you guys, and we appreciate you guys tuning in and kind of dual wielding between this and the basketball game. But I think this will be really fun for you guys. So Nevada, the team today had a really nice workout. Obviously, JJ Smith and Julian saying are excelling right now. The offensive line is kind of getting meshed between a couple of different circumstances where if they want Josh Fryer to say tackle, is Josh and Luke Montgomery the better combo with Luke at right guard, Josh at right tackle versus Josh Fryer playing right guard with George Fitzpatrick and Tigra at right tackle. What's the best combo? Again, this is very early in spring. But what's going on inside the Woody Hayes right now? Because we had a really nice practice nugget today, this afternoon on BuckeyeScoop.com. But what do you make of the team this far through, a handful of practices and then a few more coming up on Thursday and Saturday?
Well, it's just a deep, deep team with a lot of different options, as you discussed. Lots of options. Fryer on the inside, Montgomery on the outside, Montgomery on the inside, Fryer on the outside, Tigra, George, Zen. I mean, we have guys on top of guys, and it really has given Ohio State the luxury of being uber selective about the potential in the transfer portal, because they're not just going to take anybody. They really like their squad. They don't really feel like they've got a lot of holes on this team right now, and that's a great spot to be. And one of the pleasant surprises I thought of the practice today was, I'll say, the emergence of Seth McLaughlin, because up until now it's been kind of the Carson Hinsman show, and I think some people were starting to question, hey, how good is Seth McLaughlin? Can he really help us out this year? Bama offensive lineman, Bama starter, started 15 games. But how's that work for Ohio State, and how's it going to work for us in 2024? Well, he's starting to come on, and that's not because Carson Hinsman's taking a step back, but he isn't. But Seth McLaughlin's starting to come on, providing some needed depth, some needed bulk on the inside. And when you're talking about a 16 or 17 game schedule like we've got this year, you're going to need them all. You're going to need them all. You're going to need a pair and a spare. And I was really excited to hear people talking about Seth McLaughlin as being a guy that was really making an impact, really kind of turning heads, because you always have that I always have some lingering post-traumatic stress from the last Alabama lineman that came to the Buckeyes. I'm trying to remember his name. I believe he was a center, and he just wasn't very good. I mean,
Yeah,
he came.
Chad Lindsley was terrible, absolutely
Yeah,
terrible.
he was terrible, and like he came in with all this hype, and not that I thought that Seth would be that guy, but you have questions. You have questions like maybe he was overhyped, maybe he was out of, maybe his troubles at the end of the year were really kind of indicative of bigger problems, but starting to play and starting to play well, and just really glad to see that, because we've always talked about the offensive line. You just need to be good enough. I really believe that with the Chip Kelly offense. And you and I have spent a lot of time watching the Chip Kelly offense operate, watching what they did over at UCLA, and let me tell you, it's an offensive lineman's dream. I mean, the Burt Carton All American could only dream of having played an offense with this much versatility and creativity. And I mean, you did it the hardest possible way. You guys announced where you were going, pointed to the hole, and then ran it repeatedly into that thing, rinse, repeat. Chip puts the offense in just the best possible spots, and um, it is fun. I mean, it's you guys have no idea, but Kirk will be sending me clips all night, just kind of going, "Have you seen this? Have you seen this? Look at this play here. Watch what these guys are doing here." And it's so much fun because I know the offensive line is going to look better this year, like magic, and people will be like, "Oh, Justin Fry's done a good job." And look, I think that's all well and good, but I think it's all about Chip Kelly. It's all about this kind of offense that we're running, and how much problems it's going to present for the defense. But Seth had a big day. Seth had a big day, and I feel like he's starting to kind of come on. He's starting to kind of catch up. I think that the conditioning and the programs, he was one of the first people to say it's tougher here at Ohio State than it was at Alabama, and that doesn't mean better. It just means tougher because Alabama won, under Saban, what, 6 national champions or whatever he did. So he was doing something right. But I think for Seth, he's kind of adjusting to the Ohio State culture, kind of adjusting to what's kind of going on here. But he's a name to be reckoned with, and he's somebody to keep an eye out for. So, on the defensive line, Larry Johnson singled out some guys today. Jason Moore, big freshman from Maryland, Ty Hamilton. You call Ty Hamilton like a guy that really will be the biggest surprise on the defense this year, because guys like Caleb Downs are known quantities, and Cody Simon and Jack and JT and Jordan and all those guys. Ty Hamilton's a guy not a lot of people are talking about, and he is poised to have a monster year for Ohio State. And the starting front four of Ty Hamilton, Jack, and JT is going to eat. And I can't wait to see it. Lots of good things happening today at practice, but the story of the spring so far has just been depth, and more depth, and great position battles all across the board. And it's going to be a great 2024.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of competition, which is what Ryan Day wants. Again, when you've got positions that are locked in spring, I don't think that's beneficial to the team. I think you want guys battling for starting right guard, starting right tackle, starting quarterback. Again, I don't think it's a battle starting running back, because I think Trey will get the first out as a ceremonial thing, but him and Quinshon, who's the top guy going forward. I think, honestly, there's a kind of an underrated battle going on at wide receiver, because, again, I know that the hyperbole is like insane at this point on JJ Smith, but JJ is the best receiver on the team right now. And this is, again, Saturday, today, the most terrifying guy that these receivers, or that Denzel Burke and Davidson have to go against, is JJ. Because JJ is bigger than they are, he's faster than they are, he's more angry than they are, and he plays like that. So JJ is on a different level. And again, Scoop had that first. We've known about JJ since he was a 7th grader from South Florida Express. So again, we've been on him for a very, very long time. It's been very, very good what we've been doing with JJ, but he's a different level. And then another guy that we got another good report on today is Julian Sain. And Julian Sain is a guy who, again, I'll say he's like CompuBot. He's like a machine. He understands coverages. He understands getting rid of the ball. Chip Kelly's entire system has reverted to more of a number-based play calling system versus a verbal, a verbiage play calling system, and that is simply because it's much easier to get like a number system out in a headset as they're going to comms, which is AKA helmet communications with the quarterbacks. It's a lot easier to get a numerical system out as opposed to a bunch of words. You can't mix up words or you can't mix up numbers as easily as you mix up words. So Julian's he's been nails. I'm excited about him. I'm very interested with the Carson Henson, Seth McLaughlin debate. I think that Seth is a kid that obviously came from Bama, played a lot, but Carson blocked Michigan better than Seth did, I thought. And then, Carson had a lot of edge to him during winter conditioning. Seth struggled a little bit from Bama. And again, this is from the horse's mouth. Like, the Bama kids didn't think that Bama trained as hard as Ohio State did. So a lot of it was a little bit of shell shock, which again, that sounds crazy. That sounds like, oh, how could, a Nick Saban trained team not work as hard as Mickey Marotti and Ryan Day's team? But that was just what they said. That isn't like us trying to stir the pot or mix up some sort of something that we're conjecturing. That was like just straight from them. But I think it's gonna be really interesting. I think that the spring's gonna be amazing. I think that uh, you know summer conditioning will be very fun to see how these guys compete, and then fall, when the reps are really up on the line, guys got to go win jobs. And I think that winning jobs is just ultra important, and I think it's gonna be really fun to see who rises to the top, who succumbs to the pressure, because both things happen in fall camp, man. I'm telling you, fall camp, you can't miss time, you can't get sick, you can't be hurt. You got to go and get that job and snag that thing. So I'm super excited about these guys. I'm excited about Carson Hinsman. Devin Brown is fighting tooth and nail to win the job from Will Howard. Will was excellent today. Devin is right on his heels. I think it's gonna be really fun to see. Nevada, who are you excited about before we get into some of these SFE kids?
Well, I mean, you mentioned him in passing there, and I do want to give him a special shout out. Devin Brown's been kind of the forgotten man. We've talked obviously a lot about Will Howard. We've talked an awful lot about Julian Sane, but Devin Brown had himself a practice today, and Devin Brown is not. We said he's not going quietly into the night. He's not a guy that's just going to roll over and accept whatever. That kid's battling. That kid's battling, and I absolutely believe in a season like this where it's so long and there's so much kind of going on that you're going to need at least two quarterbacks, maybe three, to kind of survive a season like this, because we've never seen a season like this. We've never faced this level of competition. I mean, you talked about when you played, back in the old horse and buggy days, that you beat Michigan and then you go to the national championship game. Like now it's like beat Michigan. Oh, by the way, you got to go play Oregon or whomever in the Big Ten championship again. Oh, by the way, then you have three more games to play for the national championship. Two or three more games minimum to play before you get the national championship. I mean, it's crazy how tough the schedule is this year. But having a guy like Devin Brown, he's a veteran guy, been here for a few years and really battling. I just love his mindset. I love his mindset because a lot of guys would get defeated. A lot of guys would drop their head. A lot of guys would be, sad pandas about Will Howard coming in, or about, other, freshmen kind of running with the ones or getting kind of the notoriety. Not Devin Brown, man. I'm telling you, that kid is always up, always on, always got a smile on his face, and doing a good job. Doing a good. I'm not saying he's going to win it. I'm not saying he's going to be the starting quarterback. I'm not sure he's going to be the backup. But if I had to guess, I'd say he probably would be. But we have some good options, and Devin's battling. Devin's battling, and I just wanted to call that out because I think sometimes we get enamored with the shiny new toy, the shiny new players, and I think people sometimes feel like the book's been written on Devin Brown, and I don't feel that way at all. I feel like his best football by far is ahead of us, and we haven't even seen a fraction of that yet. And I hope we get a chance to see it here at Ohio State. So I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, I totally agree. Gotta give a quick shout out to my boy Tony Telesmanic. He's watching right now with Connie Telesmanic, Navy guy, my man, my father-in-law is down watching my wife Kimmy and my kids, Kirk Anthony and Kane. Kane's probably asleep or screaming right now. But appreciate all you guys down in the Fort Myers, Naples area. Your boy's got to pay the bills, so I'm up here grinding up in Ohio. But I appreciate you guys as always. So we got some super chats coming in. Judd Muterspa, Kirk, can you bring a pair of your gold pants to the spring get together? Always wanted to see a pair in person. Love the show. Well, I have to find them because they're in my attic somewhere. My mom has my pair from '04 and '07. My sister has my pair from '05, '06. And my two pairs that I earned as a coach are, I think they're in my dresser drawer, so I'll try to find them. But yeah, I love my family, but I gave my gold pants to my mom and sister, just because, like, it's a great way to get out of buying a Mother's Day gift when you get gold pants, because they're not really that, they're like $40 because they're like literally spray painted tin. But I'm just saying it's something where, I know a lot of my former teammates like to wear my necklaces like they're little girls, but that's not really my thing. I don't wear jewelry. But I think I'll try to find a couple pairs from my coach, because I got a pair from 10 and a pair from 12. But I don't wear my rings. I don't wear my jewelry because, again, that's kind of a relic of the past. And I always think that guys that wear all their stuff all the time are kind of sad, because it's like that was 20 years ago. But again, you could influence my opinion either way. But I keep all that stuff kind of in my attic, and if my kids want it one day, great. If they don't, great. But that's kind of where I'm at with that. Sean Rollins.
Hold on. Before you get to the next question, I want you to know that I started a rumor today on the board that you traded a pair of your gold pants for a pina colada, and I want to apologize for doing that to you, Kirk, because that story is not true. I made that up. Kirk did not trade his gold pants for a pina colada, and I want to apologize. I want to apologize to you publicly for starting that rumor on the message board today.
Bottle of Dom P at Marquee or Hakkasan or What Republic? Maybe. Night at the Rhino with the Nevada? Maybe. One pina colada? No chance. But again, people are like, would you ever sell your gold? I'm like, well, they're worth like $40. They're spray paint. They're not even gold. They're spray painted. It's like, if someone offers you the right number, I'd sell anything outside of my wife and kids. If you gave me my house, my car, again, everything's got a price. But again, like, I'm not selling. I mean, gold pants they're great, but they're trinkets. And again, if someone's like, I'll give you $1 million for your gold pants, I'm like, here you go. I'll get you 100 pairs of them. I'll buy excess pairs of them, because it's just like, to me, it's cool, but like, I've got a Buckeye tree. Like, you can't buy a Buckeye tree. You can buy gold pants, you can buy rings, you can't buy a Buckeye tree. And I've got a Buckeye tree. So it's like, that supersedes everything. That's kind of like the trump card of life when you're an Ohio State football player, is getting a Buckeye tree. And I've got one of those. So it's like, I don't know. Like, the gold pants are cute, but they're spray painted tin. So, is what it is, because we went off the gold standard. Sean Rella is the king of Worcester. Scoop Ultra, everything for the 5. I'm at Nationwide Arena. Get some of the fried bacon. The bacon's great. Sullivan King was the first act. My son and I hit up our meetup, B-Dubs, before the show. It would be a great act next. Would love to see it, B-Dubs. B-Dubs on April 13th is about to be crazy. Nate Stuckey, who has been a day one member of the Scoop and for a while, he had the biggest thread in the history of the Scoop. We had a stock market thread. He has stepped up and wants to be a sponsor, personal injury attorney out of Dayton. Does excellent work. Filleted some people alive for us when we needed him to. So Nate Stuckey is stepping up. Appreciate you, Nate. He is an absolute beast. Big card collector too. So he'll be there. We're going to have a lot of Stuckey law firm stuff to wear and give away. So I think it's going to be awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see you, Sean. As always, you're our guy. You've been on here for a long time. Nevada, your thoughts. Sean Rawlings, thank you for the 5. Is that Nationwide Arena? Sullivan King, which I think is the country act, was the first act. His son and him hit him up to meet at B-Dubs before the show. I think like the B-Dubs meetup is going to be fantastic, but your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, first of all, the meetup is going to be unbelievable, but the meetup is really not optional for Scoop members. If you are going to the spring game, you have to stop by. It's Lane and High. I mean, you're down there already anyway. So I'm taking it off the list of being like optional. We want you to go, and now I'm moving it to required. You have to, if you're going to the spring game and you're down there, just come down early. You're going to want to come down early, beat the traffic, hang out. See, what would be more fun than to be there? Go to B-Dubs. They have clean bathrooms. You can go to the bathroom. You can get some food. You can do your thing, and you can say hello to Kirk and a bunch of Scoopies. So that'll be fun. And the update on the game right now: Ohio State has had 33-32 with a minute to go in the first in this NIT Classic against Georgia, and we will continue to give you scoring updates throughout the game.
Hope we beat Georgia this time. Naysayer 23, thank you for the 5. As of today, who do you think will be the MVP at the end of the season on offense and defense? Nevada OH. Nevada, you go first. Your offensive and defensive MVP. Go project. Go look in your crystal ball. And who is our offensive and defensive MVP?
My offensive MVP is going to be Trey Henderson. My defensive MVP is going to be Caleb Downs. Those are my two picks. Final answer, but I reserve the right to change my mind, but those are my two picks as of right now.
So do you want me to be like realistic, or do you want me to like go out on the limb and be a little provocative?
I mean, you're nothing if not provocative. You're kind of a crazy lunatic.
Good. That's right.
You're like a big cuddly bear that's got some crazy takes. So I want to hear provocative, crazy cuddly bear.
He's got fangs and nails and two wild, loud German Shepherd dogs that bark at literally everything. So my offensive MVP, sit down in your seats, pour you a drink. Jeremiah Smith. JJ. Jeremiah Javier Smith will be our offensive MVP because he's not going to rotate out like Trey will. And Trey's really good. Quinshon's also very good. And then on defense, I'm going to go Jack Sawyer. I think Jack Sawyer, this is his year. He gets the doubles. He gets the 10 sacks. Captain, edge setter, trend setter. So those are my two picks. I'm going to go JJ and Jack Sawyer. Now that is super out there to pick a true freshman when he might not even start, but hey, that's what we're here for. It is March, but JJ's a different animal now. I mean, again, he could be like Amari Cooper and lead the team in receiving as a freshman, like Amari did a really good Bama team on the national championship, dominated Notre Dame. So he's a big, strong, monstrous dude, and I think that they're going to feature him. I really do, and he is not slowing down at all. Mac Brown, thank you for the 5, and thank you for being a Scoop Ultra member. Larry Johnson said in his conference, I believe it's no longer an either or. We will have all hands on deck this year. Do you agree? Well, for some of these guys, like there's not a lot of sand left in the hourglass. So obviously with Jack and JT, they came back to solidify themselves as high draft picks as they could be, first, second round type picks. But we got guys that we consider young, like Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry. They're third-year juniors now. I mean, it's go time. It's time to go take some reps. You got Edric Houston right behind those guys. He's a true freshman. Ty Hamilton wants to play in the league. Obviously, his brother got a humongous extension with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ty Leak wants to be a first-round pick. So, I mean, it's kind of now or never for a lot of these guys. And a lot of these guys, like Ty Leak could have gone pro, and Jack and JT could have gone pro. They'd have been mid-round guys. And, if they would have tested fantastic, they might have been second-round picks. But, now it's time to go put up those numbers. Go get double-digit sacks. Go get, like Vern Golson, my senior year, like he had like 15 and a half sacks. So he led the Ohio State all-time record in sacks. And that's kind of what JT and Jack had to get to. I mean, our guys have been getting 3, 4, 5, 6 sacks. And, they got to have one of those breakout years where they're impossible to block. And they have one of those big 3-sack, 4-sack games and really get after it. Nevada, your thoughts? Mark Brown asks, he's an Ultra member, and also thank you for the 5. Larry Johnson said in his conference he believes it's no longer an either or. Will we have all hands on deck this year? Nevada, do you agree with that? And what needs to happen for that to happen?
Well, I think it's a big story considering what went on last year, which is, Ohio State, obviously privately they've been talking about this, but now publicly they're talking about it. The importance of rotating guys and getting more guys involved. I mean, I thought that was a huge mistake last year. I'm going to lay that at the feet of Ryan Day because I think that really was a Ryan Day joint where he was asking them to shorten the rotations. We've talked about this ad nauseum, but I'm going to bring it up again. I've never seen a team at any level play the defensive ends every play. And we did that against Notre Dame, and they wore down. And we did that against Michigan, and they wore down. I'm not sure we did that against Cotton Bowl because the Cotton Bowl was such a mess. I'm not sure what I remember about the Cotton Bowl. But that was one of my biggest complaints about Ryan. is that we were, we were not bringing enough guys in there, whether it be at the quarterback position, whether it be at the on the line, certainly on the defensive line, that wasn't an issue. And Larry Johnson and those guys in the exit interviews have told the guys, we are going to rotate more. We're going to play more guys. We are absolutely going to use everybody possible this season. And now he's talking about it during the spring about the importance of that, the importance of all hands on deck, the importance of the second guys in terms of getting out there. So I think that's a major story. I mean, to me, people may think that's a minor thing. I don't think that's a minor thing at all. I think that's a major story, and I think it's one of the really good indications that the Ohio State team has kind of realized that they made a mistake last year. That was a mistake, and I think it cost them. And I think they're bound and determined not to replicate that mistake again. And I'm excited about that.
I totally agree. I think you gotta give the guys some help. I mean, like I've said ad nauseum that the Notre Dame game last year, where JT and Jack both played the entire game, was asinine. It was insanity. I've never seen, and again, I've played at Ohio State. I've followed Ohio State for 30 years. I've never seen two defensive ends play every single snap of a game, ever. But against Notre Dame, Jack and JT were out there, and they got, they hung in there, but they got pulverized. Like defensive linemen are not designed to play every snap. Like Miles Garrett doesn't, Nick Bosa doesn't, TJ Watt doesn't. So, why would you have those guys out there unless you just didn't trust the guys who are in? And again, Kenyatta, a lot of talent, jumps out of his gaps, not real hardy against the run. So Larry Johnson didn't trust him. So they got Jack and JT out there getting pulverized the whole game, and they hung in there. We got, by the grace of Christ and Al Washington, who had 10 guys on the field, we won, which is great. But again, it's just, like, I don't know, Ohio State D-line, that's completely unacceptable. And I think that those guys know that. They know that that's not where it needs to be at for the Rushmen to be at their peak. Dave Mathis, thank you for the 5, and thank you for being a Scoop Ultra member as well. How long till Julian Super Saiyan drives Lincoln Keenholz to the portal? All we heard is how good Saiyan is and nothing about Lincoln. Nevada OH.
I'll
let you take that, Nevada. I think Lincoln's got upside, but what are your thoughts on that? Because, I think Julian Saiyan is just outrageously good. But your thoughts on that?
Well, look, it's the challenge of talking about players on this podcast, and it's the challenge of being honest with you guys, because it's one of our core values here is that we tell you, what we know, and we tell you what we think, but we always tell you the truth, and we don't tell you the Ohio State party line. We don't try to protect people's feelings. We try to give it to you straight. We think you guys are all adults. You guys can handle it. We're not. So when we compliment somebody, that doesn't mean we're denigrating somebody else. It's not because this guy was good, this guy was bad. It could just be this guy's good, but this guy's better. And in our case, I think we have 3 quarterbacks. This is just my opinion, and this Kirk's opinion could be completely different than this, and that's okay. But I think we've got 3 quarterbacks in Will Howard, Devin Brown, and Julian Sand that are just different level. I think they're different level good. I think they're different level. They've got a different level of upside and potential as an Ohio State quarterback. And I like Lincoln. I like Lincoln's story. I love Lincoln's athleticism. Lincoln's nickname literally is Fast Switch Joe Burrow. I mean, like they think that he's just got freaky athleticism, and it'd be a great story if a quarterback could come from from South Dakota and come here and make things happen. I haven't seen it yet. That would indicate to me that Lincoln's ready for prime time or that he's got that kind of big playability. That's just my opinion. And I can probably point to 100 guys that have been here through Ohio State where I would say that earlier in their career, and then later in their career, we've talked about Corey Linsley. Corey Linsley never started a game here until his 4th year. So after 3 years, people be like, I'm not seeing anything out of Corey Linsley. That guy should probably transfer to Indiana or whatever he should do, and ends up being the highest paid center in the history of the NFL. So I'm not writing anybody off, but my honest opinion is that Will and Devin and Lincoln and Julian rather are just different level quarterbacks than Air and Lincoln are right now, and that could change. And if I hear more, I'll change my mind. But that's kind of how I see it right now today.
Yeah, and like with the modern portal and with the way kids move, like I mean, you got to expect to lose some kids. And again, it's not the thing it's those guys, but they got some ground to make up. And I'm telling you, like Will, Devin, and Julian are further ahead of the other two. And but again, with Ryan Day, the thing I always tell people, because again, like the thing you guys got to remember is when you come to this show, don't stress out about stuff that is just irrelevant. Because for me, the quarterback position under Ryan Day, and now Chip Kelly is the quarterback's coach, I won't lose an ounce of sleep. It's like I tell people, it's like, it would be like if you laid in bed at night, you're looking up at the wall, and you're like, man, I hope Jeff Bezos can buy a cheesy gordita crunch at lunch today when he goes out in his car and goes through the drive-thru. I hope he can afford that instead of just the regular hard shell taco. That's what it's like. Jeff Bezos could buy half of America at this point. But that's like with our quarterback position, how proficient it's been and how good it's been. I don't lose a wink of sleep, no matter who's there, because who's ever there is going to go through, the iron, the blast furnace that is, because Ryan Day, like, and I say this every single week, is very hard on quarterbacks. So whoever comes out of there and is the guy that emerges from the tunnel as our starting quarterback, he's going to be battle hardened. He's going to be really good. And, and if he isn't by the end of the season, then Ryan's going to hit the portal. Ryan didn't like what he saw out of the guys last year, so he went and got Will Hard. And then we flipped Julian Sayin. And magically, we probably have the best quarterback room in the entire country for a start of this year, and then like for a long-term guy with Julian Sayin. So, again, Ryan does not sit still when it comes to that quarterback position because, again, Ryan, he knows that the quarterback is the meta. If you want to go far and you want to go a national title, your quarterback has to be a Heisman finalist, basically. Georgia did it with Stetson Bennett. Obviously, a guy that was a finalist didn't win. Not really an NFL guy, but their defense was abnormally good. But in general, like you better have like a big time quarterback to win in college or NFL football. D Sonny, thank you for the 5. Talking about Georgia, can you describe the mental makeup of most kickers? Are the great ones cold blooded? See at beat ups. Can't wait to meet you, D Sonny. That'll be amazing. Thank you for the 5 as well. I don't, cold blooded. I don't know. I mean, I've been around great kickers in my life. Like, I mean, I was around Joe Nedney when I was with San Francisco. I mean, he played 20 years in the league. He was a Browns kicker when they first came up. You're Phil Dawson. Nuge was cold blooded, but he wasn't like some guy that walked around like he was Charles Manson all day. He was cool. He was warm, bubbly, whatever. But when it came time to kick it, he was nails and his pulse to give both 30. But again, like Nuge, his freshman year in 2001, like I remember going to those games and like him and Josh Houston were so bad that Jim Tressel would basically pick who the kicker was that day based on who made the extra point, the first extra point, or who had the warm-ups. Because like we had 2 guys that kicked in the NFL, and Josh Houston and Mike Nugent, that their freshman year they were horrifically bad, like impossibly bad. Like they would have been sent to the portal and sent to wherever, Duquesne or some 1AA school. But Tress stuck with him, and then in 02, like Nuge was like an All-American. So kickers can get better. They can get mentally stronger. But I think, you have to stick with them. And again, that's like a lot of positions. And again, we live in a very instant gratification driven like world. But I'm just telling you, like Nuge, his freshman year stunk. His second year, he was All-American. Third year, he was good. And then 04, he was the best kicker in the country. Went second round of the Jets. So I think kickers can get better. But again, like Cade York was the kicker for Joe Burrow's 2019 team, and the Browns drafted him in like the 3rd round and had a cannon for legs, 70-yard field goals. And mentally, if you get shook, if you get the yips, you get anxiety or whatever, that's a real thing for kickers, man. And Cade York was the guy they had to cut. They didn't want to cut him, but he missed so many field goals and he was so erratic that they had to go get Hopkins, and Hopkins was really good this year. And when he was drilling game winners, people were like, Cade York who? But I think it's a thing where these guys can be roller coasters. And again, some guys, they get that anxiety stuff and the careers basically end on the dot. Nevada D Sunny, one of our best posters for the 5, says, "Talk about Georgia. Can you describe the mental makeup of most kickers?" And again, I think he says that because if we had Mike Nugent on the uh, the 2021 team, 2022 team, like we probably won the national championship. Are the great ones cold blooded? Your thoughts on that?
Well, look, I mean, the great players can always kind of, you know, handle the nerves and, block out the noise in terms of doing it. And I'm glad you brought up Nugent because Nugent was bad his freshman year. I mean, he was bad. He was inconsistent. I don't think I've ever seen a kicker at Ohio State go from bad to kind of legendary as much as that guy because he wasn't good. It's not like he set foot on the campus and you're like, oh my God, he's the guy. Like you said, he was spraying them all over the yard. So he's the guy that's a classic example who was able to figure it out. And I do want to say something. I've said this before, but I do. I know this seems like a little thing, and you're Kirk might go, oh, that doesn't make a difference. But I'm telling you, on Noah Ruggles' kick against Georgia, laces were to the side. That was a bad spin by Mirko. It wasn't a great hold, and that's why the kick blurred out like that. And people like, oh, Nevada doesn't make any difference. It does make a difference. I know that I've talked to the people involved in that. It's kind of a general knowledge in terms of that was a bad hold, but it doesn't matter. We missed the kick in terms of doing it. But no, the great athletes, whether they be goalies in hockey, whether they be kickers, kind of those solitary, pitchers, those solitary pitchers, they can block it all out. That the biggest thing they have the ability is to block out all the noise, and so the game goes really silent for them. They're not hearing the stuff. They're not hearing the crowd. They're not hearing people yelling at them. They're just kind of in their own little world, and they can kind of get that, and they can kind of get that focus. So I don't know if that makes them cold-blooded or whatever it makes, but they certainly can focus and get themselves to a place where they're not distracted by everything else that's going on, and that's what the great ones do.
Yeah, you have to ignore the noise, ignore the outside factors. Like for instance, like when I'm ready to get on podcasts, like a lot of times my wife is not here right now. She's down in Fort Myers visiting Tony Talismanic and Connie T. But a lot of times she'll be very physically and mentally abusive. She'll beat me with a belt or whatever a shoe, a spatula, whatever she has later out. She'll beat me incessantly, and I'll say, "Look, I got to go to a podcast," and she won't care, and she'll beat me to death. And I still step up in here and I get on the mic and we rock this thing out. Kim, I love you. Of course, I'm making all this up, but she's watching it with her family down in Fort Myers, so I had to say that. But my wife does beat me. She's very violent. She's very hard on me. So I'm just, I'm sure she's in the chat right now defending herself. And don't listen to anything she says, but she's my girl and she's down there right now. Pooh Bear 12, thank you for making Scoop for everything for the 5. We heard about Josh Simmons crushing workouts this winter, but minimal news this spring. Any updates on him? How will Chip Kelly utilize his athleticism? Well, Josh is physically, he's not Paris, but he's physically as good as most of the guys. Or he's probably physically better than 95% of the guys we've had play tackle at Ohio State over the last 20 years because he's very light on his feet, very quick, very fast 10-yard dash. He's a monster. But again, he's still working on being a pro, which again is why if I was Justin Fry and whoever the GA is, if it's Mike Salini or Chip Kelly, like that's on them. Like they gotta get this guy to like really know what he's doing and really become a veteran and really understand the game. And that's where he has to develop because like he could be easily an all Big Ten, if not all American tackle. And I talk to people directly involved in it, but he just doesn't. He doesn't get it yet. He doesn't understand the plays yet. So that's kind of on him. Like he's the classic guy who has all the clay, all the mechanisms to be great, but will he really actually end up being great? That's the question. So I don't know. I really like the kid. I think he's a beast. I was a lot higher on him last year than most of the morons that most of these people that cover Ohio State football, they're journalists and they couldn't draw 11 guys on a chalkboard if you spotted them 10. So, I went to football school. They went to journalism school. So there's a big difference between like deciphering what's going on film, who has potential, who can be good, versus what those guys do. But Josh Simmons has potential to be really good, playing the NFL for a really long time. But he's like the Carlos Hyde of offensive linemen. If your foot isn't squarely up his hind end for the rest of his career, he could go first round or he could go undrafted, and it's entirely up to how hard he's coached, how hard he's drilled, how hard people make him out to be. Because again, I've seen this guy before, I've lived this guy before, and if you don't put him in a chokehold for the rest of his career, he'll be a minimalist. He'll be out of the league in 1 year. Because again, I've played with guys or saw guys that were ultra athletic. They should have been NFL Hall of Famers, and they were lazy turds. They got to the NFL. They probably got drafted really high based on their size, their stature, their athleticism. They fooled some guys at the Senior Bowl. They fooled some guys at the Combine. And then also they show up to the league and they're not pros. And if you're not a pro, I mean, the league will eat you up and spit you out. Like I was a guy, like I got by on barbed wire and toughness and short arms, short dude. Did the best I could. But I saw guys that were literally 100 times more talented than me that didn't last as long as I did in the league. And they fooled the right guy. Nevada, your thoughts on Josh Simmons crushing workouts this winter? Not a lot of news on him in the spring, but he's basically locked into left tackle. Your updates on him and how will Chip Kelly utilize his athleticism?
Yeah, well, I think sometimes no news is good news when it comes to players, and I certainly would put Josh Simmons and Donnie Jackson into that category because I haven't gotten a lot on those guys, but I think it's exactly what you said. I just think it's because it's just assumed that they're the guys at left tackle, they're the guy at left guard. There's not a lot of drama there. There's not a lot, there's not a competition like there is at center or some drama about who's going to be the right guard or the right tackle. I think the left side of the offense is just settled. As for how Chip Kelly's going to, I mean, Chip Kelly, for him, having an athletic left tackle that's everything for him. Pulling guys, flanking guys, running guys to one side of the field, going to the other, going to the short side, bringing stuff around, triple option, misdirection. It's all, he can do it with any kind of an offensive line, but a mobile offensive line, with an athletic offensive line, with a smart offensive line, he's going to do wonders. And Chip's never had this kind of talent, whether it be at the skill positions or on the line. He's never operated with an offense quite like this. I mean, obviously he did it in the NFL, but I'm talking about at the college level. And I think as a result, I think Jimmy Simmons is going to feast. Clearly, there's some areas that he needs to improve upon, but he's locked in at left tackle, and I expect him to have a big year. So I can't wait for it.
Totally agree. Patriot, thank you for the 20. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the super chat, as always. Some for the troops. Again, thank you. This all goes to Pay It Forward. We've signed up a ton of people. It's been an amazing program for BuckeyeScoop.com. So if you guys have any candidates, send us a note and we will get them signed up. Kirk, if you need help with the abuse, I'm here. Kim's listening right now, and her dad is also listening. She remembered me home at Public Sub. She's come back from Fort Myers, but she's getting better and better. I tell her every day, you just gotta get a little bit better, babe. Appreciate you, Patriot. Shio did it. Thank you for the 42. Thank you for the 10. Or excuse me, thank you for the 10. Good evening, gentlemen. Who do you think will be the next to have their black stripe removed? Ooh, that's a good one. Joel Insane or Edric Houston. Whom do you guys think it'll be? Thanks in advance. Well, Nevada, all of the major favorites were J.J. Smith, Caleb Downs, Quinshon Judkins. I'm going to go first here, just because I feel like stealing your answer. I'm going to go Will Howard. Will Howard has like 40 career starts, fifth-year dude, or Seth McLaughlin. Those are the two guys. They're older. They've started for major programs. They're not little kids. So those are my picks. I'd pick Will Howard probably over anybody. But Nevada, what is your thought? Who's the next person with their black stripe removed?
I'm going with Julian Saint and Edric Houston, because I think the OP on this thing had it right. I think those guys. I mean, when you talk to people in the program, as you and I both do, I mean, those guys get a lot of love, man. Those guys get a lot of love. They, Larry was talking, telling a story today at the media availability about Edric's signing and the nail biting nature of just the last minute drama involved in that, and just when you talk to the players and they ask about those guys, we're just really glad that they're Buckeyes because those guys are both, outstanding offensive player and outstanding defensive player in Edric. And I think that, I can't believe they've got their black stripes, still. I mean, guys are losing them quickly, but those guys should lose it any day now because they've been balling out and doing things the right way. So I expect that to happen.
Very fair. I like it. Appreciate you, my man. Donald Karen at Ross, thank you for being a Scoop Ultra member, and also thank you for the 5. Kirk, you need his come and save you from Kim. Yes, I'll blank like a bunch of times. Save me, please. Nevada OH. Yeah, I don't know if I need saved or what it is, but I'm there for it. Kim's on vacation, living the dream with her parents, Tony Talismanic and Connie Talismanic, down at Fort Myers. I'm up here working and keeping the lights on in the Barton household. So I appreciate you guys kicking it with us as always. Sloth Nations, thank you for the 5. Good evening, guys. You think Chip Kelly will stick around after the season? I don't think he will be a college head coach anymore. Nevada, I'll let you take that first.
Yeah, I think he's going to be here for a while. I mean, they signed him to a 3-year contract, and I think he really, really, really is enjoying this year. Really, really enjoying being back to being just an offensive guy. Chip's not a great recruiter, even though he can recruit. Chip's not a great administrator, even though he can admin. He doesn't like NIL. He doesn't like the hobnobbing that kind of goes into it. But man, he loves offense, and he's getting a chance to do it at the highest level right now with just an abundance of talent. And I think it's been great. This has been great for Ryan Day. This certainly has been great for Chip Kelly. This will probably keep Chip Kelly in coaching. Frankly, I really believe that had he not had, not that he wouldn't have opportunities, but if he decided not to go this way, his next stop was broadcasting, because he didn't want to be a head coach. Being a head coach in college football right now kind of sucks. And I'm not saying the 10 million sucks or the 12 million or the 15 million or whatever. You can put up with a lot of abuse for that kind of money. But the job requirements and what they're asking these guys to do has changed so much that for coaches that have done this before, that have been doing it for a while, it's hard to adjust to this new reality of college football. And I think a lot of them, they're either going to go to broadcasting or, like Chip, they're going to become a coordinator or they're going to move to the NFL. But I think Chip's going to be here for a while, and I'm all about that.
Totally agree. Jeremy Moreland sent me some of the nicest cups I've ever seen in my life. Buckeye Scoop on the front. Nevada, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Nevadabuck on the back.
Oh,
with the filled in. Is that not class? Is that class? That was class right there.
That might be the most beautiful cup that I've ever seen. That reminds me of the cup in the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade movie, where they found the Holy Grail, the little chalice and stuff like that. That would be the cup. If I had to choose, and there was all the cups there, and I had to pick the one that was the Holy Grail, they'd say you chose wisely, and that'd be the cup.
Yeah, if I had to pick one that would melt a skull when I got picked up, not my skull, but maybe your skull, I'd do this one for sure.
Oh no!
It's a nice cup, man, but this thing's sturdy. I mean, again, they even adjusted the logo. He was like, I got to fill the C in on Nevadabuck. And I was like, well, the Nevadabuck logo lives forever.
I love it.
So we got a new cup. Do you want to go to our boy Neiman? Let's go see how Neiman looks.
Yeah, you can't talk about the Phenom without talking about the Phenom. So let's talk about the Phenom.
So Neiman Lawrence is the guy that I didn't know until about a week ago. But I talked to our good friends at South Florida Express, and they said, this kid's ridiculous. And again, you gotta understand, when guys from South Florida Express say someone's really good, it's not because they've never seen a good, because again, it's all relative to who have you coached, who have you been around, what's their ceiling. These guys have been around, Amari Cooper, Geno Smith, the dude from the Ravens, Zay Flowers. I mean, first round picks, multi-millionaires, multi-contracts, and JJ Smith, Ennis Tate, the guys that we got, Mark Fletcher, who went to the U, they've seen it all. And they talk about this kid, Neiman Lawrence, and they're like, he's coming up to Ohio State this weekend. He loves Ohio State. he goes to a school that I've never heard of in my life called Ransom Everglade. And like ransom, I was like, you mean like if you're like captured in some foreign country, like ransom? Yes. And Everglade, like, yes, like where the alligators live, the Everglades in Florida. But they're like, this is the richest school that you could ever go to in South Florida. So that's where he goes. His stadium is magnificent. So this kid was an eighth grader who played varsity football because in Florida you can do that. So this kid will probably be the top player in his class. It's like 2028, which is crazy. But he's a monster now. He's gonna be a freshman again. Look at the stadium. So RE is Ransom Everglades, and I was talking to you about this earlier in Nevada, but it's like this is like the backdrop of their stadium. It's like mango trees and like alligators eating all your defense. And then you've got like literally like it's like you're right on the water. It looks like the end zone is gonna fall. And again, look at how nice this high school is. But this kid is an absolute monster. This is not great competition, but he's only in eighth grade. So again, like this is like their end zone. Like their end zone is like mangroves, boats, yachts, whatever. And then here's your phenom quarterback. So it's pretty interesting to see. Nevada, this has to be one of the coolest high school stadiums I've ever seen. Where does it rank for you?
Yeah, it's right up there. I mean, it's right. I'd mentioned a school called Room of the World High School in California that's like up at 7,000 feet and played up there my senior year in high school. And that was pretty spectacular. But this one is right up there. But this kid is, I mean, this kid's got like top 5 player in the country kind of potential. I mean, this is, like you said, when the South Florida Express guys start singing your praises, then this isn't just some internet blather or some fat guy from some recruiting service sweating all over you and telling you about how good this kid is going to be. These guys know. They've seen Teddy Bridgewater. They've seen these guys. They know what the truth looks like. And apparently this kid is he's like really, really good, really, really special. Going to be up at Ohio State, and we'll see where he's interested. I know it's hard to get excited about kids that far in advance, but this is one that you might want to just pay attention to because Ryan Day and Ohio State's just focusing on this guy, and could be a big timer.
Yeah, I mean, he's an eighth grader who's playing varsity football in Florida. So it's like he's not in Idaho, he's not in South Dakota, like he's in Florida. So it's like, again, is this the highest level of Florida? No. But like just doing that is enough for me to be like, well, this is something to pay attention to. Because again, he's a big dude. He's only gonna get bigger, he's only gonna get stronger, he's only gonna get better. But to do this, like this is like Brandon Innes. Like Brandon Innes, when he was at Heritage, he played varsity as an eighth grader. And again, I played football in Ohio. I didn't play varsity until I was a junior. So if you're 3 years younger as an eighth grader and you're playing varsity football in Florida, like you're a man, you're a grown man, and that's what this kid is. And again, he's got deft touch on the ball. He can move. Again, here's a cue draw, not scared. Again, doesn't go down. I mean, like, dude, I'd be like, dude, get on the ground. Do not absorb a blow like that. But really excited about this kid. I mean, I think that he loves Ohio State. He loves what we do in our offense. Watching Chip Kelly will be like cathartic for this kid because Chip Kelly will exploit everything this kid can do. His footwork, his touch, his timing. I think it's going to be really, really spectacular to see this kid. And again, like he's, the beauty about what's going on with Ohio State, and again, you see him reverse field and he's going to the crib. He probably could have got about 4 or 5 more yards, but these kids are going to come up and they're going to be able to talk to J.J. Smith, Brandon Innes, Colonel Tate. What's it like up here? Do you like it? What's the culture like? How fun is it? And those guys love Ohio State as much as any players I've ever met in my life. They love everything about it. Obviously, our NIL stepped up with the foundation, but it's it's like a super highway from the SFE kids. Jamie French is coming up this weekend with his parents. Vernell Brown is coming up this weekend. Him and Jamie are probably the 2 best receivers in the country. Both are going to come to Ohio State. Not committed yet, but they're going to come up here and do a business visit and talk to Brian Hartline, talk to Ryan Day, talk to Chip Kelly, get with the NIL crew. Like it's gonna be awesome. Like I'm really excited to see what these guys can do. Going forward with this. Well, Nevada, I think we could wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts as we get into the second half of this NIL tilt?
Well,
NIT tilt.
I think, yeah, Ohio State down 6 here in the second half, 14 minutes to go, plenty of time to go. I think we saw that breaking news, Boggs just decommitted from Ohio State. So,
oh wow, did he really?
I believe so. Yeah, Boggs is just decommitted from Ohio State, which to me, and I always hate this stuff when the people somebody decommits and they're like, oh, it's just because we got somebody better or we got recruited over or whatever. But I think that's probably the case. I think we did get somebody better. We did get recruited over because I'm looking at all the 5 stars that are trying to get in as part of this class, and it was not obvious to me or intuitive to me where Boggs kind of fit in there, even though I think he's a terrific player, great player. But Brian Hartline's recruiting at an extremely high level right now, and so there might just not have been room at the end. That's the first thing. Second thing is, big offensive line visit this week. David Sanders coming up. And that's big news. And I've been told that Sanders' mom and the greatest Buckeye mom of all time, Monica Johnson, are very close.
Yeah.
So that could be interesting as well because obviously Monica did what was best for Paris, and I think that worked out pretty well for them. They're pretty pleased with their decision. So I would imagine they might get a ringing endorsement to David about coming here and applying his wares here for Ohio State. But big recruiting weekend ahead for Ohio State. Lots to pay attention to there as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I just happened to throw some Vernell Brown film. Vernell is, again, the people I talked to in South Florida that know that area better than anybody, they said that Javon Boggs will not play at Ohio State. If we get Vernell Brown and Jamie French, it's like getting Michael Jordan and LeBron, and then Craig Hodges decommits, which is cute. It's great, but kid has some issues, and I think that we're going to out-recruit him. If we get Vernell Brown and Jamie French, they're the 2 best receivers in the country for me. And those are the 2 guys that Brian Hartline's locked in on right now. So I think everything will work out for everyone's best interests, and I'm just really excited about what's going to happen. So again, God bless Javon Boggs. I think he'll have a great career wherever he goes, but we're not going to miss a kid like this when we've got when you get the top 2 guys at wide receiver coming in, it doesn't really hurt if you lose the guy who's probably a little further down the ladder, had some attitude problems at some tournaments. So again, that's not for nothing, but the guys that we're going to get it's going to be like getting JJ Smith over some of the kids that have transfer portaled out. Like you're not going to remember those guys. So we'll be all good. Well, Nevada, any final thoughts, and we'll wrap this thing up.
No, just again, appreciate it. If you can leave us a like on the way on out, that is always super helpful. And don't forget, put on your calendar for the spring game meetup at B-Dubs before the spring game. And now that the game's on Fox on national television, it would not surprise me at all to see Kirk Barton holding court there at B-Dubs throughout the entire game and just plying down some smash burgers for 3 or 4 hours. So you might get a lot of Kirk Barton there that day if you come by and say hello.
I mean, honestly, I think Buffalo Wild Wings will be way more fun than the Horseshoe, but this is my opinion. I think we have a really nice turnout and a lot of people that are excited to be there. So appreciate you guys as always. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. We can finish out this NIT game together. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. As always, shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. Shout out to Tony Talismanic, my boy, and Connie Talismanic, my girl, along with my old lady, Kim, and my kids, Kirky and Kane, who are down in Florida, getting some sun. There's not a lot of sun up in Ohio, but we're doing the best we can up here. So appreciate all you guys holding us down there. Kim's still moderating from a much warmer spot than Lewis Center, Ohio. So as always, with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. And also thank you to my German Shepherds who bark incessantly during this podcast when Kim is not here. So thank you, JoJo and Storm, for keeping us safe by barking at anything that moves outside. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Go Bucks.